know they can lie, they've done it before. So-called scientific studies assured people there was no link between smoking and cancer, and DDT was declared beneficial to people, animals and the environment. Corporate greed takes precedence over everything else. Since the introduction of the first Monsanto's GMOs, engineered seeds have been marketed as if there was a broad consensus on their safety. 300 scientists of the European network say the consensus claim is false and dangerous because it lacks scientific rigor preventing conclusive claims. The principle of substantial equivalence on which GMOs have been approved, according to a joint FAO-WHO expert consultation, is not a safety assessment in itself. The Institute of Science in Society has confirmed that the principle allows only to compare whatever seed trait is the most convenient at a particular time and for a particular purpose, always to the advantage of the market. An expert panel report by the Royal Society of Canada stresses the need for more rigorous and independently reviewed testing on GMO's safety. This recommendation is due to the fact that university research, more and more dominated by commercial interest, is far from granting a scientific approach aimed at the public good. Many people are worried about the result of several studies that point to scary health effects of pesticide-resistant or produced GMO crops. Monsanto's BT-engineered crops, which kills insects by dissolving their guts, have been found to damage animals' kidneys and liver and to disrupt digestive capabilities. What's more, traces of BT toxin, which according to Monsanto should be destroyed in the human guts, have been found in the blood of pregnant women and in umbilical tissues. Are Monsanto's safety claims about their best-selling product, the glyphosate-based Roundup herbicide, true? Monsanto was found guilty of false advertising it as biodegradable, and cattle fed with Roundup-ready GMOs food does show a higher incidence of infertility and abortion. Salt sprayed with Roundup loses its nutrients, so it starves the plant, and develops pathogens dangerous for the plant's roots. These issues have also been confirmed by Professor Kramer, USDA scientist who was warned about the superweed spread due to the use of Roundup. The herbicide is promoting the development of superweeds and superbugs, which will probably force farmers to use highly toxic cocktails of pesticides. EPA has been in the process of reviewing glyphosate registration since 2009, but no news up to now, and it's even more unlikely there will be any if the bill that prevents qualified independent scientists from advising EPA, recently passed by the U.S. House, will also pass the Senate. Anyway, Roundup Ready and BT GMOs continue to be approved and sell well. Many books and movies have revealed some of the biotech industry's little ways to promote their goods. There is the revolving door mechanism of the movement of personnel between roles, as legislators and regulators, and the industry is affected by the regulation, both in the USA and in Europe. More than $500 million spent lobbying Congress have supported the promotion of GMOs according to Food and Water Watch. Part of the American citizen taxes are used for ad campaigns abroad. Monsanto has been granted the right to file lawsuits against farmers who get their fields contaminated by GMO, and they never lost. People's right to know if what they're eating is GMO is being denied. By financing anti-labeling campaigns, Monsanto and other big corporations have already managed to reject pro-labeling ballot measures. Vermont, that has passed a labeling bill, is facing a lawsuit by Monsanto. Big biotech giants are used to harass scientists who dare to publish any researches shedding any doubts on GMO's health consequences. Image cleanup initiatives are planned, but they do not always succeed. Biotech giants have found many little ways of breaking barriers in countries where GMOs are forbidden. Contamination from GMO crop of traditional crop forced Paraguay to legalize engineered seeds, according to Robin's book. Activist writer Vandana Shiva has spoken against Monsanto's presence for disaster-hit countries, like the seeds sent to Haiti after the quake, which eventually local farmers didn't appreciate too much. The Secretary of the Agricultural Ministry in Nepal has openly declared that programs developed in the country are set by the GMO industry agenda. In Iaku, the 81 has established strong intellectual property rights, opening up the market to GMO seeds. Partnerships with local seed companies are another step not to give local farmers any more choice on the long run like it happened in India. GMO promoting measures are inserted in international treaties, like the TTIP, thanks to mechanisms such as the regulatory cooperation, which guarantees that every new European decision is subject to the industry's approval, and the ISDS, which allows the corporations to sue states in private courts. And repeated advertising about GMOs as the only way to feed the world in the future which is being disproved. UNCTAD report on trade and environment says the survival depends on a shift from monocultures and use of industrial pesticides and fertilizers towards holistic agricultural methods. A successful example of this approach is the organic agriculture in Gaza, forced by the blockade of pesticides. Our performance of traditional made seed system in standard models of climate is another proof. After 30 years of testing, the Rodal Farming Institute has confirmed higher yields and better weather resistance for traditional crops. This has spurred the growth in the patents on conventional breeding in plants, which have proved more resistant to environmental stress and pests. How is it possible to patent conventional breeding plants? It's enough to prove that minor or even trial technique input has been performed on it. Patents on Seeds, a global platform created in 2007 by farmer organizations and NGOs from all over the world, has warned that if the increase in patenting isn't stopped, we might be putting our genetic resources, our global food security, and even our sovereignty at risk. Companies might be able to control access to the most important resources for conventional breeding and the food chain. Seeds, plants, and food patents on a grand scale could impact food prices and availability. In Europe, patent law are getting abused for misappropriation of basic resources for global food production, and this situation has been going on for a long time. Monsanto, for example, has been granted the patent on broccoli in all its natural forms. The biotech corporate greed is making the future look rather gloom. After years of battling, a new law has just passed to let GMOs free in the old continent. So the Europeans will be fed the GMO crops on the top of all the unlabeled food containing GMO that have already been eaten without knowing. It's never been necessary to label lots of food produced with the aid of genetically modified organisms, such as products from animals fed with GM plants, dairies from cows fed with GM plants, sweeter produced thanks to GM microorganisms, honey containing pollen or nectar from GM plants, wine containing enzymes produced by GM microorganisms, sweet with glucose syrup made using GM enzymes from starch, vitamin C produced with microorganisms using GMOs as nutrients. The ancient practice of planting seeds and from the hundreds new seeds got thanks to the first ones have enough to eat and then replant is being put in jeopardy by patenting rights. A patent is exclusive right to commercially exploit an invention for a limited period of time, and patents on plants, animals, and genes give companies a dangerous control over food production. This temporary monopoly allows companies the exclusive right to sell the seeds and to charge higher prices for them. Farmers cannot save seeds from their own harvest, so they must either buy new seeds or pay a license fee to plant patented seeds they have saved. Even the Catholic Church has voiced out the unfairness of this system. Biotech companies have always been on the prowl for dangerous ideas of new patentable crops. They've just stolen a gene from a banana rich in vitamin A to put it in another banana in order to claim ownership on this useless breed. And they've also decided that an apple that doesn't oxidase was a much-needed staple on our table, as well as in their pockets. There is even more bad news. The Svalbard Seed Vault project, which has officially been set up to safeguard the seeds of the world's food plants in the event of the global crisis, has been financed by the agribusiness giants and by the Gates Foundation, and the Gates Foundation has bought millions of shares of biotech companies. According to William Engdahl, the underground seed gene bank has attracted the interest of Monsanto and the likes because of the richness of its raw material for plant breeding. So the same biotech companies who are contributing to genetic modification and the decrease of biodiversity in worldwide crop and for patenting conventional crops are in charge of preserving all the extant crops as strains for future use in case of disaster or extinction. If that wasn't enough, Ken Wheatley, founder and former chairman of the Seed Savers Exchange, a non-profit organization whose members have for decades offered samples of thousands of seeds to other farmers and gardeners, has denounced being removed from his charge in order to allow the new director and the chair to deposit portions of Seed Savers collections into the Svalbard Seed Vault. Doesn't it look a lot like the fox god in the hen house?